Planes cause autism.
You know what else planes cause?
I'm so excited to hear about 9/11.
Hold on. Don't blame the planes. It was the people.
That's the Tom Cruise defense for 9/11. Nobody was blaming the planes.
Don't blame that. How can it be a plane problem? How can it be a plane problem?
Nobody calls it a plane problem.
If everybody had a plane,
Yes.
If everybody had a plane,
You
our
could
buildings
knock
would
the other
be
planes
safe.
out of the sky. Yeah, that's actually a good point. 9/11. For a lot of us, it was an extremely formative moment in our young lives, millennials and older Gen Z. And because of its proximity to the rise of the nascent internet, is one of the first truly online conspiracy theories that was spread with message boards and forums and other such methods of delivery. So I wanted to go back and I wanted to look at this 9/11 conspiracy theory. For me, this is personal because I have a brother who had a tattoo that said, "Skate fast, eat ass, Bush did 9/11." That brother is now Aiden's financial advisor.
That was exactly what my next question was. Exactly. I have please
one brother.
Tell me this is the brother that doesn't manage all of my money.
And if Aiden, a man that I trust, is going to trust him with his money, then maybe he's got maybe these are smarter ideas than I thought when I was a younger adult, when I dismissed my brother for being a pothead. So, Exhibit A.
Good stuff.
Look at this image. If that doesn't scream conspiracy, I don't know what does. He looks guilty already.
Is that a photo of him calling it in?
This is him calling the planes.
And this is to scale.
He was big at the time. George Bush being behind 9/11, again, is one of these early conspiracy theories. If he can dodge a shoe as well as he can dodge accountability for his crimes, then it would explain why he's gotten away with it so long. I want to get into this, okay? The main argument, first of all great conspiracy theories start with a good motive. And this one does have a good motive because the administration behind George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Halliburton, all these people, they wanted more power. They wanted an excuse for more executive authority and an excuse to go to war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Both of these things were accomplished in the wake of 9/11. Mission accomplished in the wake of 9/11. In addition to creation of the Patriot Act, which allowed them to expand executive authority at a rate that had never before been seen in American history and give the president and the administration more ability to monitor communications online.
I knew it.
By the way, I love this background because it just says protection, prevention, enforcement, protection, prevention, enforcement, prevention, enforcement, an increasingly smaller font for no reason. I don't know who designed it or did the graphic design for that, but this is a real screenshot from the announcement of the Patriot Act.
The doubters are feeling pretty stupid right about now.
So that's the motive, right? But the conspiracies don't stop there. The Bush administration had credible evidence that bin Laden would strike in the U.S. well before he did. This is a briefing that was sent to George Bush and ignored that was titled Bin Laden Determined to Strike in the United States. There was no action taken in the wake of this. Could that be incompetence or a lack of perceived threat? Possibly. But it could also be conspiracy. Secondly, this one's kind of a financial banger. This is a real story from 2001. People in the days prior to 9/11 made statistically significant large put options bets on the two airlines involved in 9/11 and made massive financial profits and then laid low before collecting the profits. It was a weird anomaly that was created in the previous days. Again, we see similar things happen nowadays where tariff things will happen, huge put bets the day before and then call bets the day after and they're making a bunch of money.
Nancy Pelosi knows NVIDIA's getting a deal. She puts money. Nancy Pelosi knows bin Laden is striking tomorrow. She puts on the airlines.
I wish I had an image here of Pelosi just decked out in gold on 9/11.
Thank God it's all coming together.
So some people did make huge profits from this loss, implying that somebody had advanced knowledge. Additionally, the core argument from day one, I remember hearing this as a child in 2001 and 2, jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Okay, I have a question here, okay? One of the things as we all research conspiracy theories that I realized is that it's very hard to find people who are supportive of the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
You go on a mainstream media website and it's all like the debunked theory about vaccines and autism using clearly falsified evidence is totally false.
Yeah.
They don't say, well, here's why. They don't go into it, right? So I've never heard, really, you got to break this down for me. Because
jet fuel steel beams, the idea is...
MSNBC won't even tell me about jet fuel and steel
The
beams.
idea is that this is the first time that a fire has caused the collapse of a steel building of this size. And so the planes didn't knock the towers down. They just hit them and then started a fire. That was the idea. The theory from conspiracy theories is that there was explosions. There was planted charges in the building that caused it to explode upon Bush's call.
Yep.
This is the idea. Now, if you were to try to, I think it's a rock solid thing. If you were to try to debunk this,
Tell both sides this, all right?
we don't need to. I just want to give these the woke,
And then let the people decide for themselves.
They can decide for themselves.
We're just asking
Right,
questions.
right.
Is you would say that the jet fuel doesn't have to literally melt the steel beams. The impact plus the heat weakening the steel beams would be enough with that much weight and tonnage above it
That doesn't.
to cause a systemic collapse. It sounds stupid as I'm even saying it.
So I'm not kidding. A friend of mine, I remember him. His name was Abdul Kareem.
Okay.
And in 5th grade, we had to do presentations in class. I don't remember why or like what the subject around, but his presentation for some reason was counteracting the jet fuel steel beams 9/11 like conspiracy theory. He wanted to explain why the towers had collapsed in on themselves, which was way beyond the pay grade
What
of the
grade?
fellow 5th grade students that were in the classroom. I'm dead ass. I remember it. I remember it so clearly
just asking questions.
everybody was in the class and he's just explaining like basically the building flaws of how the World Trade Centers were built and like why they collapsed in the way they did. And I'm 11 years old listening
That
to
is
this.
insane.
I know he was a really smart kid, right? He was like I remember he's one of the highest performing kids in the class, and he's giving us this presentation on how the Twin Towers collapsed in on themselves. It was insane.
I was watching Fairly Odd Parents at the time.
I know.
So maybe it's on the jet fuel. Maybe it's on the jet fuel. However, the conspiracies don't stop here. There is some more inconvenient truths, Aiden. The BBC so there was 3 buildings. People don't know this. There's the 2 towers, and then there was the 7 World Trade Center, which is a smaller 47-story building nearby.
I thought you just said 3. There's 7 towers.
No, it's called 7 World Trade Center.
That doesn't make any sense.
And this is odd because the BBC live reported that 7 World Trade Center had collapsed. By the way, it wasn't hit by a plane. It still collapsed, which is odd. And they reported that it collapsed while it is still standing in the background. They reported that it collapsed before it actually collapsed, which implies that it was all part of a planned rollout.
Yeah. So I just want to be clear here.
Yeah.
Because you fully endorse and believe this.
fully
Of
endorse and
course.
believe this, yeah.
Of course. So in the world of the conspiracy that we're
Yes.
living in here, they've let the BBC news reporter in.
That's
on
right.
it.
That's right. That's right. She's deeply complicit. Bush called her first.
But like they read the script wrong, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the idea?
yeah.
They,
Well,
they
the
started
idea is
the
that
broadcast too early.
She started the broadcast too early. And so she
Or
doesn't
let's
even...
rephrase that. Bin Laden was late.
That was the one
I
part.
love the idea of
they
like
couldn't count on the laziness of Bin Laden.
You're
They had
working
everything
through-
Kids don't want
planned
to work
out.
anymore.
the chain of command. It's like it's one of the most important covert operations ever to be accomplished within the history of the developed world. But you make sure that all of the BBC is in on it.
They sent them the talking points, yes, and then the BBC messed up. They
You
sent
know
it
what's
too early.
funny about that is if you just watch what happens, you don't have to send any talking points. You could just
That's an interesting
you
point.
could just have them report on it. So why would they have been handed talking points? Me handing the talking points before the towers go down. So you're gonna say that the 2 towers fell down? No. I know you could just watch them fall
They
and
wanted
then
to be
say
sure.
it's like, but we'll make
They
sure we
wanted to
feed
be
you the talking
sure.
points about the most prolific terror attack in American history.
I didn't know the tendrils of the deep state extended to the Lemonade Stand podcast.
Oh,
though.
call
I
me a
didn't
deep
know
state
that.
cock. If I may.
I didn't know the deep state had an agent
I'm just
on our
saying
podcast.
that if I was planning a devastating terror attack on my own citizens, I wouldn't leak it to the BBC.
And that's why you don't have the drive that George W. Bush has. And I planned for this.
Stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
God, that's excellent.
Man, I'd fall
That's
to hell and
excellent.
back.
I would fall into hell and back. And so I don't know that I can trust you on this one, Aiden.
I think if he copped to it right then, like if he said, yeah, I did it, and then he said, now watch this drive,
People
I think I'd let it go.
So, I mean, those are like the key high levels on 9/11 conspiracy. I don't know if you guys have others, if you've heard from your travels, but believe me, I'm convinced.
I think what you said at the beginning was the important part, right? Is this rode the wave of, the first time where the internet is really the vehicle for spreading the theory around, right? You could go on, YouTube a few years later and you're watching 9/11 documentaries.
Yeah, a lot of kids watched that growing up.
Yeah. And I think that is an interesting reflection on the time we live in now, when so many of these things can spread around at such a pace. I feel like the density of conspiracy that we have now is so much higher. And I think you have